joint surgeries. So around 600 for knees, 300 for hips, 700 for spine. When we look at spines through life, we see that each year a spine has more and more problems. Most information will tell you that's normal aging. If that's normal aging, then how can I put up one person's x-ray and see a 20-year-old bone in an 80-year-older and a 50-year-old bone in a 20-year-older if it's normal aging? Wouldn't they all be the same age? So it's not that they're necessarily the same age, it's that some age faster than the others. Now, the reason joints are important in the first place is, what do you think is the most reason, if you went on Google and put up chronic pain, immobility, nursing homes, what do you think puts most people in those areas? What kind of problems?
Arthritis.
Arthritis? And what kind of problem is an arthritis problem? It's a joint problem, right?
Degeneration.
Joint, disc problems, all joint problems. How about knees, hips, people being in there? Joint problems. But are we taught to take care of joints when we grow up, or taught to take care of muscles? Muscles, right? Is anybody in a nursing home because they don't have a bicep? Or because they don't have, well, I mean, you know, strong legs are important for walking and things. But most people end up having joint problems. Joint problems is probably the most undiagnosed, untreated health problem that we have, because almost everybody gets it by the point of 80% of people having some kind of joint disease by the time they're in their 60s. If you look at the numbers, people at 50% of our population has back pain at every moment of the day. 80 to 90% have back pain alone in their lifetime. At least one person does. That doesn't include neck, that doesn't include headaches, that doesn't include all sorts of things. A lot of times, what are those back problems? Are they muscle problems? It could be, but what happens once arthritis and disc is involved? Is it just a muscle problem anymore? It's a joint problem. Do you know how long it takes joint problems to happen? Anybody? Just a guess?
Takes a long time.
A long time, right? So the process starts 2 weeks after a joint stops moving. So if a joint has alignment and motion, it will not age. That's why I could put up an 80-year-old spine and there are bones that look healthy. All those little things will put suds in your disc. But, however, if that joint still moves, do suds come out of a sponge and you keep it underwater and keep it moving? Right? So there's a little bit of inflammation, but your body works with it. Now, what happens when you can't pump water in and out of a sponge? What happens to it then?
It gets dry and stiff.
Right. So what would that be like for a spine? What do you think happens to the disc for it to start acting like a sponge?
Moving.
Less movement, right? So if movement would be healthy, just like a sponge not having water in and out of it causes it to degenerate or shrink, the disc is the same way. It doesn't have a lot of arteries and veins in it, so it can't just get fluid on its own. Us moving it is how the joints and the disc stay healthy. Once one joint gets stuck, even if all the other ones are moving around, even if we're moving, even if we're stretching, even if we're able to do a ton of activities, if one joint isn't moving, it only takes 2 weeks for the degenerative process to start. Now, we usually don't get to see or experience or feel that because there's not a lot of arteries, there's not a lot of nerves in the bones and the discs. They're going through the bones and the discs. So, fortunately, the sooner you have pain, the better, because the pain is our smoke alarm. Remember, we have a choice to make, right? Is our body smart or dumb? Anybody have a guess? Very smart, right? So if it's smart, would pain be a mistake?
No.
Right? So it's trying to warn us about things going on. Now, early on, it may be, I feel a little tight in the morning. Once I warm up, I feel great. That may be 5 or 10 years or something. Then it may be, I had a back episode, but I got our neck episode, got back on my feet. I felt fine for like 5 years. Everything was fixed. But what happens is your body's giving you little warning signs, and if it goes unchecked, what can happen is the joints start to change. And here's how the joints start to change. Let me see if some of them have audio. So normal is alignment with motion in the joint, bone, disc bone, big nerve hole for the nerve to come out of. Phase 1 is just sort of a misalignment and the joint not moving like the others. That joint is going to age faster than the other ones. Phase 2 is when more arthritis and degeneration, and then because the area has been unstable for so long, What does your body do on an area that's being overworked, that doesn't have what it needs to handle the workload? What happens to your hands if you shovel a lot?
It swells.
Calluses, right? Yep, it'll swell and then get calluses. So your body tries to find a way to get used to what you're asking it to do, even if what it ends up doing can cause us some pain and irritation, because the spine has to protect the nervous system. And if it's not going to get the help it needs from the outside, it has to do the job from the inside, because it has to protect the nerves. Remember, the nerves are the lifeline to the body. The brain and nervous system made you. It heals and repairs you. It controls trillions of cells, meeting all their needs every moment. That system has to be protected. We don't ever want to get to this point, because once things get fused, it's harder and harder and harder to get motion in the joint, and to some points very, very difficult. However, it's not necessarily about which phase a person is in. It's about making them the best version of that phase possible, because a person in this phase or this phase or this phase may not have pain. A person in this phase or this phase may have pain. So how you feel isn't the best indicator of the health of your spine, because it's not based on feeling alone. There's plenty of people walking around and feel great, and they're on their way to diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. There's plenty of people walking around pain or sick right now, and they're very healthy people. Their body is just expressing health and sending off warning signals, letting them know that there's things they could be doing to help them improve their health. So we don't necessarily just look at this as symptoms. We look at the spine as a way of taking care of things, because the spine needs to be the priority and the muscles need to be the protection system. But what we have is everything reversed. We have muscles mean everything to us, and let's just try to make sure our spine's straight. Let's try to stand up straight. Let's do some stretches. And we put our spine second, and in the end, it always loses, right? Everybody who doesn't put their spine first, and nobody's told to, I wasn't told to, they end up getting stung in the end. It may look like we're running the race the same, but once you get into this area, you can't undo this like you can undo a tight muscle. You can't undo this like you could get in shape in weeks and turn muscles around. Once you get here with joints, you're putting yourself in a corner. There's not that same turnaround. So even though it looks like you're running the race the same, whether people have muscles and go to the gym, if this aspect isn't getting taken care of and this is going on the inside, people are going to suffer. And what usually happens? So first we treat the pain most of the time. Then we may do exercise and stretching, and almost taking care of the spine is the last thing on the list. And what can happen is there could be a lot of people walking around that'll never have this problem addressed, because they're just looking at and doing enough to not feel it. So anything so far about spine health, or just the nature of the spine in general? Anything there? Okay. So let's see what we got. So we got the alignment and motion part. So does anybody know anybody who's suffering with neck pain, back pain, headaches, arm, hand, leg, digestive problems, right? Other than in this room, right? Do you guys know anybody else in this room that's suffering? Do they get their spine checked? Do they? I mean, most people aren't, right? Most people aren't getting their spine checked.
Not ended up in his legs.
Right, and then it goes down the legs, right? Okay. So, as these things go on long enough, your options decline, and then that's what gets us that 1.6 million surgeries. 20, 30 years of this. People say, I didn't feel anything, but this process was going on. So when should people start to take care of their spine? When do these things happen?
As soon as they feel it.
Well, if you feel it, there's already, if it is a spinal problem, there could already be arthritis and disc disease. Or something has to be irritating the nerve. So this happens from birth, right? The birthing process, pull 80 pounds of pressure on the head, rotate the head in between the shoulder blades, and pull the baby out. Do you see babies sleeping in carriages like this with torticollis, upset stomachs, ear infections, all these things from the twist they have? Kids fall 5,000 times learning how to walk. So this isn't only to bring your awareness up that joints are probably the most important thing you could be doing for you and your family, but it's hopefully the next generation that you get to influence starts to take care of their spine a lot earlier. Because I was all in on exercise. My parents grew up, they were exercise people. My great-grandmother was more into the cooking and the nutrition, stuff out of the garden. So, you know, we got little pieces of that, but they never had the spine component. So when I was in my 20s, I'm exercising for my muscles and sacrificing my spine to get muscles, and then I find myself on my back for a year. Then I find myself getting surgery. Then a couple years later, I'm sitting in the same exact pain again, thinking to myself, I must need surgery again. And then I was in chiropractic school, and that's when everything changed, because I learned how to get the joint healthy. Even if you get surgery, all surgery can do is cut away damage. It can never restore health. That's something you have to do for yourself. So the damage that happened from having that joint stuck or that subluxation, surgery will cut that away, but it won't remove the subluxation. And why do so many back surgeries have to be redone, or people start to have symptoms again in years? Because they never restored health to their spine. They just cut away the damage, they felt better, and they were on that same train going off the tracks. It just takes time again to kick in. And it happens either to the joint above or below, or it'll happen to the same joint. So it's good that we have emergency care if maybe there's just things we didn't know about and we need to get damage off our spine. But in the end, whether you need surgery or you don't need surgery, you have to restore health to this if you want the degenerative process to stop.
If you have like a spinal diagnosis, would insurance be able to cover? Like, I just always question why insurance doesn't cover something so serious.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for them, but they have an allotted amount that comes in. They have an amount that they're determined to spend, and that amount won't change how you feel or your quality of life. You know, the 30 visits they give most people, if they're taking care of their spine their whole life, would probably be enough. But somebody who's never taken care of their spine and they come in with 30 years of degeneration, then they're really not in the business of making up for those 30 years for you. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So usually by the time they kick in gear, you know, 30 visits, you know, is something that can keep a spine healthy, or for flare-ups that things can happen, because even a healthy person can have a flare-up. Mm-hmm. But well, you know, once things get like this, and it takes, you know, just 30 visits to sort of get things moving over the first 4 or 5 months, that sort of is a little different because things have progressed so far. We're dealing with something that's 30 or 40 years old. So they try. Any other questions about that so far? We good? All right, so I'll just give you guys the health equation. This is how it works. And these are the foundational things. If you went to Harvard or you were in grade school and you took out an anatomy book, it'll tell you the brain and nervous system's the master control system. It goes through the spine, and how you take care of the spine will determine how your body works. It's no big deal. But however, we've been preaching that for 100 years on how to get spines healthy without drugs or surgery, unless it's a severe situation. And we've helped millions and millions of people just by following the rules of science. Whereas other methods have been researched, don't seem to work, then they have to figure out a new way and figure out a new way and figure out a new way, because they're not using the principles of health. They're using the principles of science. How can we make them not feel this? How can we get them back to their life? How can we make them feeling better? How can we give them what they want, the quick fix? And that'll never restore health to you. It always requires work and time. So here's the health equation. Mental, physical, chemical stress have to be as low as possible in your life, and your brain and nervous system has to be fully connected to your tissues at 100%. Anything less than that, you're getting less life to your body. So you have to have spine, you have to have nutrition, you have to have rest, you have to have positive mental attitude, and you have to have mobility, movement, and flexibility. The greater you can make that equation, the better this gap is, the faster you get healthy, the better you stay healthy, and the better you're able to handle the stresses in life. Anytime this equation changes, your ability to get healthy gets slower and slower, you stay even, and then once you get to where the stress is higher than what you're doing for yourself to heal and repair, your health is going to suffer. Every single time, every single person, every single disease, this is a principle. This doesn't change. And now, what's really important is to remember that whether a person has cancer or not, this equation still works for them. There's still a best version of them if they follow these laws. There's still a worse version of them if they don't follow this law. If you're the world's greatest athlete and the fastest person in the world, you follow this equation, you'll get healthy. You may even get faster. You don't follow this equation, you'll slow down and your health's going to suffer. Nobody is, what would that, diplomatic immunity from a movie or something? Nobody's immune to the laws. That's just how it works. If you don't want to follow them, if you don't think it's true, just go ask people how they live their life, go see what people are going through, and it'll all lead back to these factors. So it's really giving you and your family a chance to take your health into your own hands, because not to get whatever they call it, conspiracy theory, but you're not going to get what you need to be healthy necessarily in newspapers, in magazines, on TV. You're going to get marketed to. And unless marketing is promoting what you can do each day to get healthier and how you can reduce stress naturally and all those different things, and you think it's going to be something you could put in your mouth or do anything, that's enough to get you out of emergency situations, but it won't give you the life that you're capable of having. All right? So what I ended up doing is, I told this story so many times, I ended up writing one book. I'm in the middle of writing another. This book is Winning Moments. And so where it started from is when I would ask people what they're doing, I realized that a lot of their problems they were causing themselves. So I took a book from morning all the way through night and how you do everything in a day. And instead of having all those things break your body down, I talked about ways of doing them to make your day a workout, so that all day long, all the things you do in a day makes you stronger instead of breaks your body down. If you were to do this alone, you'd be removing the stress that caused a lot of problems you have. How to sleep, how to sit, how to stand, how to warm up before you do an activity, all these different things. That's Winning Moments. My next book is going to be Health is Practically Free. Don't wait till it costs you everything you have, because it is. It's very simple to stay healthy if you put in the time and you invest a little in yourself. It's actually cheaper than not being healthy. People say I can't afford good food, but I think if I have an apple and a greens drink in the morning and I take a handful of spinach for, I think, $2.50, $3.50, I'm on turbocharge. Completely clean energy, right? Whereas other meals cost a lot more than that. So don't, I'm not browbeating, but don't let excuses or things or conversations get in the way of your ability to be healthy, because your body doesn't take excuses. If you don't put the right things in, you're going to get the wrong things out. And if you put the right things in, you get the right things out. All right, so this is your time. Any questions? You don't need to have any, but if you do.
Yeah, once the spinal is out of alignment with the chiropractic work and healthy diet and lifestyle, can it get back to 100%?
I would say, I don't know what 100% would be.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do know is the body's clay. And if you continue to encourage it to move in a direction, it'll move in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you continually stretch it, if you continually loosen up, if you continually get the joints moving, it will align better.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that bone or disc changes didn't change to a point, because there becomes a thing that's called limitation of matter. If something's gone to a certain point, it's going to change the way that thing grows a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
However, any effort you put in to be the best you always has a benefit.
Do you have a particular stretching exercises here?
So here's your other option. Go on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
I put out about 2 a week, and there's probably already about 100 in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you just go on the YouTube channel. Not YouTube, I'm sorry. Go on the Facebook, because I put them on the Facebook channel.
Okay.
So yeah, just go on the Facebook channel. The videos are there. If you have any questions, just type in the question. I'll answer the question.
Okay.
If you have a certain video you want made about something you're going through, I make different videos from people who ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can get people to do those two components, eliminate the stress and show you how to take those stressful situations and turn them into better health and better posture and better alignment, that's a win. And then on the other side, the spine, the rest, the nutrition, you have to gather those tools one at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. Just do one thing at a time, and you got to get resources that you trust. Like I use Mercola.com. I just get on his monthly newsletter, and every morning I get a letter on vitamin D, or I get a letter on this, and then I make one little change. Or I just read it and it goes in my brain, and maybe I don't make the change then, but the next time I do. And you just keep investing in yourself little by little and making the change. Everybody else? Anybody good? All right. So what else do we got for you guys? I think that's it. All right, you're all set. I think what we have here is on the inside there.
Yeah, can I have it one?
Yeah, we'll get it for you. There's an opportunity for you guys, if you have anybody you want to invite, that we're going to do a spinal exam and x-rays for them in this office, analyze the spine for them, let them know if there's anything we think we can help them with, and that's available to you for being here tonight. All right, guys, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I know everybody's busy. Yeah, you got it. All right, thank you.